This is the second part to the Larry Shaman, The Black Face of White Supremacy. We're going to read the rest of the article.
Yep.
Okay.
Hey, monkey balls.
Now we're going to continue on. So where we left off was Elder Mock's critical race theory.
Oh, yeah.
Though I'm not sure he understands what it actually is. That doesn't bode well for ethnic studies in California.
Yeah, that's where we left off.
Yeah. So now we continue. If he's elected, the task force studying reparations for Black Californians would be toast.
I guess Larry Elder doesn't want his reparations.
I guess not.
You know, he was a slave when he was young and he's forgotten. That poor son of a...
As would yet unsigned bills to allow police officers to be certified for misconduct and to support community-based alternatives to 911. Then there are Elder's views on masks and vaccines for COVID-19. Oh, perfect. This will go along with the comment. It's particularly telling that a week ago, a who's who of Black elected officials, from members of Congress to the LA City Council, lined up at a Kedron Community Health Center to urge Black Angelenos to get vaccinated. The rates continue to be abysmal, and Black people are still dying disproportionately. Elder, meanwhile, was off somewhere tweeting his grievances over mask and vaccine mandates, promising that as governor he will repeal those before I have my first cup of coffee, and I don't drink coffee.
What?
That's what Elder said. I would have asked Elder to explain his views, but his campaign hasn't returned my messages.
No, what they mean is, I would have asked him, but he's too retarded to answer the question.
However, I'm fairly certain he would say his thinking is a result...
We're going to the mind reading, are we?
Wait,
this quickly?
I'm fairly certain he would say his thinking is the result of being free and independent, rather than a believer in the victimhood messaging that's supposedly perpetrated by Democrats.
Wait, what?
He said...
He'd also probably be a racist son of a bad...
He says, however, I'm fairly certain he would just say his thinking is the result of being free and independent, rather than a believer in the victimhood messaging that's supposedly perpetrated by Democrats.
I don't know what that's supposed to... Like, this is such like a... This whole thing's like...
Scum.
It almost sounds like Gavin Newsom wrote it.
Yeah.
Can't you see him being like, Larry Elder is a scumbag. Okay. With this little slack jaw son of a bag.
He'd also
son of a boy's mother.
He'd also probably say, as he did on Travis Smiley's talk radio show recently,
never heard of it,
that he does not care very much about Black people. Oh wait, sorry, that he does care very much about Black people. Sorry. Oh. And then they quote him saying, I believe that many policies that have been implemented by the left, often with the best intentions, have a disproportionately negative effect on Black America, Elder said.
They're like, we don't have the best intentions. Like, they just go against him on everything.
Yeah. Some Black people do agree with him.
They're what we call
We
morons.
aren't a monolith, so it's true. He does have fans who are Black and are likely to vote for him. But it's also true that Black people, particularly Black...
They're about to say something really racist, aren't they?
What was that word? Angelenos overwhelmingly vote Democratic. That's the foundation of a new campaign launched by local, state, and federal Black elected officials from LA to increase turnout among Black voters for the September 14th recall election.
Do they ever wonder why Gavin Newsom's being recalled, these liberals?
Yeah.
Or do they just look at it like, I don't know, it's probably Trump's fault?
Probably. It's probably all they think in their head. The campaign wasn't created because of Elder standing in the polls, Cam Lager told me. But
Cam Lager?
I don't know.
Probably mentioned earlier.
But that accelerated its intensity. Indeed, his candidacy feels personal, like an insult to Blackness.
What? You're a living insult to Blackness. Forget
everything.
They're an insult to... This whole article is an insult to the human race. I hope Elon Musk gets to Mars so we can just ship all these liberals there.
Yeah. LA City
We'll create something called New Earth.
LA City
we'll
Councilman
Mars.
Mark Ridley Thomas says, my grandmother would say, use your talents and your gifts for good and not to bring other people down, particularly those who don't deserve to be down. And that's what Larry fails to understand.
Larry. They're going like with the whole like, I'm going to call you by your first name, Larry, because it's like usually considered like disrespectful. Because they could have said elder or something, but instead they go with like Larry. Like he's like, this little boy here, Larry, doesn't know anything about black people because his skin's fake.
Larry's, he's throwing out all of that rhetoric about minimum wage, all that talk about poverty pimps, all that anti-vaccine, and all that anti-every damn thing. It's not only politically, but intellectually offensive. This is a quote. All of what I just read was a quote from the LA City Councilman Mark Ridley Thomas,
who should probably also be recalled.
LA City Councilman Marquise Harris Dawson. These recalls are clown shows and he is a clown. So it's not surprising that he signed up for it and is leading it. He's got a lot of experience being a clown.
It's all clown disrespect.
Yeah, I know.
He's a clown. Let's face it, we all know it was Republicans and conservatives that made the whole calling people clowns thing popular.
Yeah.
They just stole it.
They're
the clowns.
Earl O'Farry Hutchinson, a political analyst and author, which means nothing at all.
Yeah.
The only positive I see in an elder candidacy is that it is yet another wake-up call for Democrats in California and nationally to not take black and people of color's votes and support for granted.
What does this even mean?
I don't know. Najee Ali, a longtime South LA activist. He would be a disaster for the black community. We would suffer greatly. He's the Black Trump, and I'm speaking as his friend.
What? You're not his friend?
Although Ali acknowledges that the friendship is strained.
That's not a friendship. It's like, I met him once when he was on Fox News or something like that, and he'll be like, yeah, we were friends because we talked for like a minute while we drank coffee off stage. Yeah, we're pals. What a moron. One time I went on like Fox News and he was like kind of hanging out backstage. I think he just like took like a leak or something. And we were like sipping our coffee and he was sort of saying like, yeah, interesting stuff going on right about now. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But our friendship's strained like my banana. All right, that's
There's also the fear of how the Republican Party would use Elder, governor of the bluest state in the U.S.
Well, I won't disagree with him there.
Maddox, the political consultant, he would be their number one message carrier going into the midterm elections in 2022 and the presidential election in 2024. They would use this guy as a tool, and he would be perfectly willing to be used because that's what he does already. He's a foil for those people who want to be convinced that there is no racism in America.
This is very ironic because the LA Times is clearly being used to do this whole article.
To be racist against this black guy.
That's
who's
irony
running for
101.
These people here create racism in America.
Yeah, they're the ones making an article called Larry Elder is the black face of white supremacy. Like, and then they're going to go around being like, there's no racism in America.
Overall racism
we all know nobody's more racist than Larry Elder. Then they start spouting out N-word type stuff.
I would place solid bets that 95% of all racism in America is either fabricated by the mainstream media or created by the mainstream media.
Yeah. Go to like a random dude at Walmart and be like, hey, are you racist? Let's stop pretending you aren't, because we know you owned a slave when you were a boy.
Abdullah.
In the 1800s.
Abdullah of Black Lives Matter.
More like Dullah slap.
Plus, most of these people he's quoting are clearly cherry-picked. Like,
well, they're barely even quotes. They're like a piece of a quote. It's like Larry Elder said, black people.
Remember, a journalist only needs to ask like a couple questions, write stuff down that people say, and then just use it to their own whim. Mm-hmm. Now, of course, you can also cherry pick the people that you interview.
Like
I need to make a hit piece against Larry Elder. I got to pick people specifically that hate him, because you notice you could quote tons of people who are fans of Larry Elder.
No, like you'll find they'll do this sort of thing where they'll be like, Larry Elder said, I hate black people. And you look at the full clip and it's like Larry Elder actually says, I hate that black people get used by liberal media types.
Yeah, and you can get away with it.
You know what I'd like to do to these people?
What?
Squeeze them. What's funny though is if this was Don Lemon, who would actually fit a lot of this stuff a lot better.
Yeah.
Other than like the vaccine stuff or whatever, but like the general like not doing anything good for black people.
Yeah.
they would be all like in favor of it. They'd be like, Don Lemon's such a great guy. He would never do that snarly face that he does.
Okay, Abdullah of Black Lives Matter. Anytime you put a black face on white supremacy, which is what Larry Elder is.
That's what I was saying in part 1, that I think he's not, they don't mean blackface like the costume. They mean just a black face.
Yeah.
So I was trying to explain.
Yeah.
He did it better than me.
There are people
give
who
him
will
that.
utilize that as an opportunity to deny white supremacy. They say, how could this be white supremacy? This is a black man. But everything that he's pushing, everything that he stands for, he is advancing white supremacy.
Care to elaborate? Explain that?
Nothing will be explained. Not one thing regarding that has been explained or will be explained.
It's like, why? Well, he's a Republican, isn't he?
We only have 3 more paragraphs. So
I only got 3 more brain cells left after this.
Black people know better than anyone how dangerous Elder is. He is the OG troll that no one was supposed to feed. But here we are.
That actually sounds like a compliment. He's the OG troll. I wish I was the OG troll that no one was supposed to pay attention to, that became too powerful.
Now this person talks about Newsom. Newsom hasn't been perfect. It took far too long for the state to roll out. That's a bug.
Some bug just went off. It's about to explode.
It took far too long for the state to roll out COVID-19 tests and vaccine equity.
That's the least of their problems.
Like
if you wanted to list off California's problems, the first one, the first thing you would say isn't, it took them a while to get the testing going for COVID-19. It'd be, I don't know, that their state's on fire half the time.
Yeah.
That's a little bit more of a problem. That's why it's the Goblin State, not the Golden State.
Newsom hasn't been perfect. It took far too long for the state to roll out COVID-19 tests and vaccines. And if hundreds of thousands of Californians weren't still waiting on their unemployment checks, the level of fraud and mismanagement of the Employment Development Department would almost be comical. But as Cam Lager said, I'm not interested in going back to Jim Crow because I want to have a black person as governor.
Jim Crow.
And then
nobody even heard of Jim Crow until
duh.
It ends with duh. The last word is
not
duh.
even quoted. That was just the...
It's like, duh, we don't want to go back to Jim Crow. Duh. Who wants to go back to Jim Crow? Duh.
Oh, wait.
Nobody even heard of Jim Crow until like this last half year, you notice? Mm-hmm. Like, it was like, we don't need any Jim Crow laws. It's like, who's Jim Crow? Oh, he's that guy who tried to make laws that didn't work out? Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Last thing we need is Jim Crow. Remember how we went 90, 80, 100, 200, 300, 400, what was it? America had 500 years where black people were suppressed because of Jim Crow. Yeah, you want to start that again and vote a black guy into office? No thanks. Let's not allow a black man to be governor because we don't want Jim Crow laws. He's too illiterate to be in a position of power. Going for Jim Eagle.
And as we said in the first video, at the end we're going to look at the person who wrote this. Well, this is the lady who wrote it, the article that we just read.
She looks like Shaq with a wig.
Yeah, I can see that.
Too bad for her. Duh.
I don't feel like looking up an image.
Well, duh.
There she is.
Duh!
Wait, so who should I vote for?
Well, duh.
Should I vote yes or no on recall?
Well, duh.
Thank goodness.
Duh.
Erica D. Smith. Retard at large.
Duh.